very much to the free word to allow us to be here for this talk. And thank you enormously to English Pen and for their literature committee who laid a generous hand on Saviano's book. It really does make an enormous difference. It makes an enormous difference to him that the book is supported in this way by English Pen. And I'm thinking that over a very long life in publishing, I was thinking who remotely like Roberto Saviano as one published. And it was my great good fortune to look after Solzhenitsyn's works in this country for a long time. And also we published at Harvard Lech Walesa autobiographies, and I thought afterwards that these two men, between them, changed the second half of the 20th century as almost no other two writers. Saviano doesn't have the support of Solidarity. He doesn't have a network which is national and visible and vocal and powerful to support him. And he isn't, in any regard, remotely like Solzhenitsyn as a human being. The strange thing about this giant of a man with the courage of 6 lions is that he's tiny and fragile and very soft-spoken, and is also a writer, in my view, a very fine writer. And the situation in which he finds himself in is one that he could have perfectly easily avoided. But that he didn't, and that he, even after he is caged in the way in which he is, he goes on writing in this book essays that appear in newspapers, essays that he writes elsewhere. The range of his reading is one of the things that when you go through this book, I think you will be enormously impressed by. One of the pieces in the book deals with the work and fate of Anna Politkovskaya. And you can't help thinking that here we are in the 21st century, already two enormously courageous people who set themselves as individuals against, in one case, the Russian state, and in the other case, as it were, the understate in Italy. And what I feel very strongly is that we as publishers can do everything we can. We should bear in mind this book has been already very successfully published throughout Europe. It sold, I think, even something in the order of 200,000 copies in relatively tiny Sweden, and we should remember that. And when we say to ourselves that Roberto Saviano doesn't have a network that is, for example, Solidarity, we have to say to ourselves that we can do that for him, that we owe it to a man of this character. We owe it to the civilization that we are comfortable within. We owe it to, I think, to our own administration to remind them over and over again to not allow Roberto Saviano to come here to talk as he was going to when we initially thought that it might be possible to get him here with Misha Penny in public, in front of a huge audience, as we anticipated. When he was in Sweden, as the book also describes, he had a public meeting with Salman Rushdie, which was an enormous success. And I look forward to a time when Roberto Saviano will not only be allowed to walk the streets of England freely, even though I suggested Scotland, but I want him to be free all over Europe. I don't want this man to have to hide. I want him, in addition, to be able to play an active part in Italian post-Berlusconi politics. You smile. Well, you smile, no doubt, because you think there will never be such a portions of Italian politics, and more optimistic than the smiling. I want to say that we wouldn't be able to be at this launch today without the swift and scholarly help that we had from Enrico Verresi and Paolo Campagna, who set a great deal of their own work aside to help us over the last hurdles, which is to say dealing with the libel problems that we live with in this country. We are very grateful to them. We are very grateful to Ulla Stransky, the translator, who came all the way here from Italy for this event. And just back to the PEN committee for a moment, for having, particularly in the person of their then chairman, Julian Evans, having gone on and on about the merit of this book and the need to make it exactly right, even, I dare say, to improve on the impeccable copy editing of the original Italian publishers. So, a very great pleasure to be able to introduce Bishop Benny. I'm not going to introduce Bishop Benny, it would be a footling undertaking. I'm just going to give him the podium.